Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. Now, I have one question here for everybody who watches my channel, and that is Julius Malema the new reborn Robert Mugabe in waiting? Think about it. Think about what Mugabe did to Rhodesia or Zimbabwe, which today is in a devastated state. Over 4 million people living near starvation, and the people who are out there trying to help the starving Zimbabweans say they need $200 million urgently to try and help support that population. That's Mugabe's real legacy. Now, I put up a video earlier about the reality about South Africa and why the ANC government haven't got a clue. Now, let's consider the EFF, Economic Freedom Fighters, who are now suggesting they are ready to govern South Africa. Well, good luck with that. Let's start off with the EFF Student Command, the Economic Freedom Fighters. How delusional are they? The EFF Student Command has threatened to unleash anarchy on South African universities from next week if 3 of its demands are not met. Now you notice its demands. There's no compromise, no discussion. Their demands. It wants all institutions of higher learning to allow walk-in registration, to provide free student registration, and to cancel historic student debt. Now that really shows a wonderful understanding of how finance works, doesn't it? Just write it off. Just cancel it. Who cares? Yeah, this is socialism in action. Failure to meet these demands, warns Student Command President Mandla Shikwambana, would result in anarchy. This is the Economic Freedom Fighters who claim they are ready to govern South Africa. Shikwambana, speaking on Friday at a press conference at the Birchwood Hotel, Ekurhuleni, said EFF bouncers, possibly the party's paramilitary, known as Defenders of the Revolution, would be ready to confront police. Wonderful. Wouldn't they be fantastic in government? The organization singled out 3 institutions, the University of Johannesburg, the Vaal University of Technology, and the University of Venda, for increasing tuition fees for the upcoming academic year. Shikwambana said they would not stand for the hike and promised harsh action. He urged universities to comply with the demands of or face a rolling shutdown aimed at making them ungovernable. Get that? This is the Economic Freedom Fighters who want to govern South Africa. They want to make the whole education system ungovernable. Somehow that kind of doesn't add up, but we're just getting started. He also called on universities to put serious measures in place to combat gender-based violence. He said, "It is high time that we resort to anarchy as the members of the EFF Students' Command if nothing is done. We're going to run all these institutions of higher learning ungovernable if they are not in compliance to our demands. There will be serious anarchy. We know they are going to arrest us, and we have a plan for that. There will be bouncers behind us. When police come, bouncers will beat them. So we are ready for them, and our bouncers are there." Now, can you imagine if this was one of the white organizations sprouting this sort of talk? I mean, those people who did it would be put behind bars just like that. But because it's an EFF student command leader, it's a free pass. This is a double standards in South Africa, race-based double standards. Shikwambana said there would also be a march to the offices of the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, or NSFAS, which he accused of embezzling funds meant for students in the form of its reported 10.3 billion rand of irregular expenditure over the past 2 years, and by creating ghost students under false pretenses. Well, why are we not surprised? I mean, this is par for the course in South Africa. Everything is corrupted. They're all on the take. Not rocket science, guys. Anyway, he said sit-ins could also be staged at various government offices. Shikwambana said the student command planned to lead unemployed graduates to them. He warned that corruption at universities would also be confronted. He said that the group was not going to smile at anything that looked and smells like corruption. Well, that looks like you. Tshwane University of Technology was also singled out for alleged corruption. The student command accused Higher Education and Training Minister Blade Nzimande of turning a blind eye to it, claiming the people and the government were benefiting. Shikwambana said Univen had spent 58 million rand on a swimming pool that could barely accommodate 20 people at a time. He believed the money had been siphoned off in the process. Well, why are we surprised? It's what you guys do. And you would be no different if you had a political position of influence. You'd be doing exactly the same thing. It is what it is. Get over it. Now, why are we talking specifically about the EFF? Because the EFF have thrown down the gauntlet, declaring its readiness to govern South Africa. Benzi Kasoko ponders whether the party is fit purpose as a government in waiting. The EFF has openly declared that it is ready to topple the ANC from the echelons of state political power. This bold stance was taken by the party during its second National People's Assembly in Nasrec, Soweto. Coincidentally, this is the same venue where the ANC held its national conference in December 2017. Delivering the presidential political report, EFF leader Julius Malema lambasted rank-and-file members for laziness in political mobilization, education and organizing, which are imperative for the numerical growth of the organization. This political chastisement should be viewed as political agitation and radicalization, preparing EFF members to unleash the final push that will eventually unseat the governing ANC from the levers of state power. Indeed, the EFF can unseat the ANC if it swells its ranks and significantly increases the numbers of its supporters and sympathizers, thereby changing the complexion of its electoral muscle. In its current form, the EFF cannot defeat the ANC, which is ostensibly powerful, electorally speaking. As a matter of fact, the ANC still enjoys the massive support of the overall constituency. For the EFF to ascend the podium of state power, it ought to work hard on the grounds to improve its voting might. Malema has strategically extended an olive branch to all left-wing organizations and formations to unite with the EFF in pursuit of the usurpation of state power. This clarion call has a potential to galvanize all socialist-oriented forces into a powerful voting bloc, provided that it openly welcomed and accepted by all in the leftist movement. It is therefore incumbent upon socialist organizations to grab this golden opportunity and work as a collective of political mobilization and political agitation, which may eventually make them a credible alternative to the ANC. Whether this olive branch will be accepted remains to be seen. Malema has also declared with bold confidence that the EFF should go all out in its revolutionary quest to take over the reins in municipalities across the country, with particular focus on the metros, namely Johannesburg, Tshwane and Nelson Mandela Bay. The EFF has presented itself as a government in waiting, ready to unleash a devastating blow to the ANC. It has resolved to unleash a war against the ANC-led government, which it is accused of planning to sell state-owned enterprises to the white monopoly capital of the Han Ruperts and Nicky Oppenheimers through privatization. The EFF has also resolved to take the war to the financial sector and the banking system, which it has accused of financial apartheid through discriminatory practices that exclude black people from participating in the mainstream of the economy. More fundamentally, Malema has given clear marching orders to all EFF branches across the country to paint their towns, cities, townships and villages red through aggressive political organising and mobilisation. The party's critical stance on the land question has placed the EFF on the pedestal as it masterfully articulates this emotive issue with more ideological clarity, philosophical, historical vividity and political zealotry never before seen in post-apartheid South Africa. Mastering articulation of the land question by the EFF has made the Pan-African Congress of Azania, or PAC, look like a political tabula rasa. They have deservedly boasted that the expropriation bill is their brainchild, and to this effect they run the parliamentary committee leading with Section 25 of the Constitution and all its manifestations. Interesting, President Cyril Ramaphosa mentioned that unless the land question is resolved, South Africa will not be totally and genuinely free, and that all the efforts aimed at reconciliation and social cohesion will amount to naught. Well, Ramaphosa is just completely destroying South Africa under his watch with the ANC government, and that is self-evident. For the uninitiated, please note that the land question is placed as cardinal pillar number 1 in the EFF's foundation policy documents. Love or hate it, the EFF has introduced a new way of politics in the body politic of South Africa. Through its grand entrance in the political arena, it made South Africans watch parliamentary debates, forcing MPs on their toes as opposed to the la-la land that our parliament had notoriously become. No MP dared to doze off for fear of being televised live in deep snoring. The EFF has managed to give the ANC a run for its money by engaging the latter in robust debates never seen before in parliamentary debates, notwithstanding the comical gymnastics and clownish theatrics that accompanied all the spectacles. At the end of the day, the EFF does matter. Those who say otherwise have been living under a rock. And I agree with that. The EFF have got a considerable amount of support in South Africa, and that is very concerning. The call for the EFF to become a force to be reckoned with on a continental scale will definitely send shivers down the spines of dictatorial and authoritarian regimes across Africa, especially to the tin pot dictators and military juntas. Through this radical call, the EFF models itself as a custodian of Pan-Africanism, an African unity with the purpose of pursuing the dream to establish a United States of Africa, as marshalled by early Pan-Africanists such as Marcus Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Ture and Robert Sobukwe, Thomas Sankara and many others. In his closing remarks, Malema announced that in the next 5 years the party would build a state-of-the-art school that will cater for children from the poorest communities. He challenged black billionaires like Ramaphosa to build such schools in poor communities as a way of giving back to the communities in which they grew up. Malema further mentioned that as leaders of the century, black billionaires have a responsibility to ensure that they continuously influence the policy discourse of the country and to argue for the introduction and implementation of radical, pro-poor policies to obliterate the current two-nation economy, which favours the rich and defecates on the face of the poor masses. But more crucially, he argued that the leaders of the country must introduce and enforce a new attitude on young people to love education and excellence, so that they do not become the wretched masses of the 21st century or end up getting positions in government through political favours, a phenomenon that will eventually collapse our municipalities and all government institutions, as evidenced through the shenanigans at Eskom, South African Airways, Denel, Transnet and other state-owned enterprises. And of course, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Everything is in a state of collapse in South Africa. And if the EFF got into government, that would be like pouring fuel on the fire. All right, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like the video, please share the video, and above all, stay safe. Bye for now.